back in sharp focus. The trial of the 5 men accused of killing former Bafana Bafana captain Senzo Meyiwa resumes today in the High Court in Pretoria. The court was on a 2-week recess. The defense has said that it needed time to consult their clients and experts on 700 photographs that were downloaded from the phone of accused number 3, that being Mthobisi Mncube. SABC News reporter Chriselda Lewis joins us live for the latest. Chriselda, a good morning to you. I think there's so much interest in this trial, and certainly that 2 weeks leaving quite a gap. Let's talk about where we were when we left off.
Well, that's right, Naledi. You'd recall that when the matter was postponed some weeks ago, it was postponed to today to allow the defense to consult with their clients on the hundreds or even 700, to be precise, photographs that were downloaded, as you correctly pointed out, from the mobile phone of accused number 3, that is Mthobisi Mncube. So Advocate Charles Mnisi, who represents him, had requested basically the master copy of the photos that were downloaded from his client's phone. You recall in the last sitting, Constable Sizwe Zungu, who says he was visiting his brother's son at a hostel in Vosloorus, basically told the court that he saw the accused at the hostel on the day that Senzo Meyiwa was killed. So during those court proceedings, Constable Zungu testified that he saw the accused at this hostel on that night. Basically, he is the first witness, Naledi, to directly implicate or place the accused currently before this court in the vicinity of the Vosloorus area on that fateful night. So he said after the accused had basically disappeared from the hostel for quite some time, he said in between about 8 p.m. and 9 p.m, the accused, some of them came back looking very panicked and went into his nephew Kwabini's room. He says when he got into that room after following them, he saw that accused number 1, that is Muzi Sibia, as well as accused number 3, Mthobisi Mncube, carrying guns. He also testified that accused number 5, Fisoku Ntuli, had been wearing a black hoodie and had also immediately changed into a grey one after returning. But 2 of the accused deny ever being in Vosloorus on that night. Accused number 1, Muzi Sibia, as well as accused number 2, Bongani Ntanzi, even say they were not in the province on that day. In fact, they had been in KwaZulu-Natal. So that had been some of the bombshell testimony that we heard towards the postponement of this matter the last time. What we're also expecting to hear from the defense this morning is on this expert that they had planned to bring before this court. Remember, they had brought an application to have their own forensic expert, a ballistics expert, I beg your pardon, also come before this court. So we're expecting to hear what the way forward is pertaining to that, and how the trial itself will resume going forward. But certainly the interest, as you indicated in your intro there, Naledi, certainly not decreasing. A lot of people, I recall during the postponement of this matter, a number of people indicating they couldn't wait for the resumption of this matter, because I guess also what will happen this time, Naledi, is that we'll also be sitting into November. While we'll take a break now in October, at some point in November as well, this matter will resume again. Those are the dates that have been set aside for this matter, because according to our understanding, there seems to be a lot of interest to have this matter really wrapped up, as it has been dragging on, of course, since that fateful night when Senzo Meyiwa was killed. And certainly the family in this matter has been calling for closure. Also, sometime during the course of this week, we're expecting a march to this particular court by some of the fans of Senzo Meyiwa, and I understand some of the family members of the accused. But that is likely somewhere on Friday. That is my understanding. Whether it will go ahead, we'll certainly know towards the end of this week. But we heard certainly that there will be a march as well that is planned to this particular court. And in part, what those that are planning this march to this court are calling for, they're calling for those that were inside the house at the time that Senzo Meyiwa was killed to be brought before this court.
Yeah, so I think I'd be keen to hear what the concerns raised by that march certainly are. But let's talk about these 700 photos that really the legal teams have been going through over the past 2 weeks. I mean, what are we expecting to find in those 700 photos that were essentially on the phone of accused number 3?
Now remember, Naledi, what has already beamed inside court is photographs from accused number 3's phone that were taken on the day that they were in Vosloorus when this a party or get-together was taking place. Remember that Constable Zungu's cousin, Kwabini, had invited him to this Vosloorus hostel. That's, of course, on his version for this get-together. And this is where he says he was in the company of the accused before this court at this hostel where they were having drinks and also eating meat at this get-together. So on that day, photographs were downloaded from the phone of accused number 3 that were taken on that day. But in the previous proceedings, what we didn't see were photographs that were taken at the hostel itself. There were photographs that were taken on that day, on the 26th of October 2014, but these were pictures that were not taken at the hostel, that were taken outside the hostel, from what we could see, somewhere towards the streets. And what we're expecting the defense to basically say, you would recall that the witness on the stand, Constable Zungu, had basically been asked about what some of the accused had been wearing. So what we would basically be zooming in is to look at the pictures that were taken on that day that were downloaded from the phone of accused number 3. You would recall part of the description that Constable Zungu says that accused number 3 had been wearing was a lime shirt. Also, he was wearing a necklace. They would want to look at whether the pictures that were taken on that day on the cell phone do point to this lime shirt and this necklace that was supposedly worn by accused number 3. So, of course, as I earlier indicated, the accused will basically say that they were nowhere near this hostel on the day that Senzo Meyiwa was killed. So the defense would really try to continue to poke holes in the testimony of Constable Zungu in basically pointing to the fact that their clients were not even there in that vicinity on the day that Senzo Meyiwa was killed. So a sharp focus expected to be on these photographs. What were the accused wearing on the day that Senzo Meyiwa was killed? Are there any photographs that had been taken at the hostel where Constable Zungu says he was in the company of these accused? Do any of these photographs indicate that? Because some that we've seen at this particular time that have been beamed inside court when the matter was still in court the last time we were here were photographs that were seemingly taken outside and not indicating a hostel, a kind of setup, or at the hostel itself. So we're expecting, the defense to lean quite sharply on that as well. What these photos contain, what were the accused wearing, who are some of these people who were taken photographs of on this particular day in this area of so-called Vosloorus. So that's what we're expecting much to be the focus here this morning, and exactly when we're expecting one of those experts to be brought by the defense as well.